All right, we're back here on SportsLine. The question tonight, Kevin Durant to the Warriors. What do you think about that? Obviously, it makes them the front runners in the NBA heading into next year. But in terms of Kevin Durant and the decision, how does this shape the way you feel about KD? Think about this. He's not making a ton of money. It's going to turn out to be $27 million over the next couple of years. I know that is a ton of money. But when you look around at some of the other free agency deals here over the last several days, good gosh, are they throwing cash around in the NBA. Mike Conley, $33 million or something like that from the Grizzlies. I mean, he's a good player. He's a really good player. He's an important piece for Memphis. There's no question about it. But $33 million? Sheesh. And you look at Kevin Durant, he's not going to make that much money next year. So it wasn't all about the money in this situation for Kevin Durant. He's chasing a championship. And I think a lot of people appreciate chasing a championship, but does it feel like he's giving up? Because that's kind of how it feels to me. Imagine this. To me, this is like Michael Jordan struggling in the late 80s and the early part of the 90s. Struggling through 1990 and then saying, you know what, I can't win the title in Chicago. I'm going to go join the Pistons. I haven't been able to get through them, so I'm going to go join the Pistons now. Or, you know, you name it. Larry Bird saying, I want to go join Showtime Lakers. I just, something feels a little icky about it. I don't think it's any fault of his own necessarily. He's doing what he feels puts him in the best position to win a championship. But at least I want our superstars to have that killer instinct that they're the best out there and that they can do it with what they have and in the place that they're beloved. And for Durant, that's Oklahoma City. LeBron has sort of righted his wrong by going back to Cleveland and winning. But I think we all felt kind of the same. The titles in Miami, they mean something. They count. There's no question about that. But I think even LeBron would tell you the title coming back home to Cleveland that he just won means a little more. Because it's the place where he started. It's the place where he's from. And he was able to win the title with the team that was put in place around him. In Miami, he created the team. In Miami, that was Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and Chris Bosh with a handshake on the back of the Team USA plane. That's what Miami was. And they were a great team, and they were a good story, and they won 2 titles, and that counts. But it feels different in Cleveland for LeBron. It would feel different in Oklahoma City for Kevin Durant. If he was able to bring them a title, it would be an incredible story. And it would mean something for his legacy. Apparently, he feels that he wasn't going to be able to get that done. And so his option was to go to maybe what is already the best team in the NBA. Over the long haul the last couple of years. Now he joins them. It just feels weird. It's hard to think back to the guys we grew up watching in the NBA and thinking, man, Michael Jordan going to do that? Do you think that guy is going to walk away from Chicago because he feels like he has a better opportunity elsewhere? I mean, free agency's changed the game. It's different, and these guys have all earned the right. But there's something about me, and this is one of the rare places I feel this way about. A lot of people romanticize the old days of sports and look back and say the game was better when. I generally disagree. I think our athletes are bigger and faster and stronger today, and therefore most of our sports are better today. But this is one area where I like the old game. I like the guys who identified with their city. They loved their team. They loved their fans, and they wanted to win for them. That's where they wanted to do it. And I can't imagine those guys doing what LeBron did and taking their talents to wherever, or doing what Kevin Durant did here and joining forces with the team that he had on the ropes. They were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Couldn't get it done. Big part of that is on him. He played well, but if you're the star, where's the killer instinct? Get it done. And how does 5 minutes change the course of history for the Oklahoma City Thunder? 5 minutes in Game 6. They were 5 minutes away from knocking off the Warriors, moving on to the finals where who knows what could have happened. Instead, the Thunder struggle down the stretch. Durant struggles down the stretch. The Warriors come back and win, force a Game 7 back at Oakland. They then win that and go on to the finals. Durant and Westbrook and the Thunder go home. And now here we are a month later, and home is no longer OKC for Kevin Durant. How do you feel about that decision by KD? 737-7767 is the number. Let's go to Jay. Jay, good evening. You're up here first on SportsLine.
How you doing, Steve?
Doing well.
First of all, I know you're from that area, I believe, or you work down there,
Yep.
and I just wondered what their thoughts are. I know they're devastated. My son, he's 13. He's a huge OKC fan. We've been to Memphis to watch him play, and he said, he's just devastated. And he said, I'm just going to pull for Westbrook. And, that's like growing up. I was a huge Larry Bird fan. That'd be like him going to play for the Lakers,
Right.
It's just devastating. And I know the people down there are just upset, but I hope they, it's like you said, the Thunder had the Warriors, and they blowed it. But, I wish the Thunder the best. I hope they rebuild and, get revenge. And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of broken hearts down there because the other thing about this is, remember, they got this team from Seattle. I know there's some people in the Pacific Northwest that sort of think you guys had this coming. You got it ripped out of your hands or hearts just like we had our hearts ripped out a while ago. But I think what'll be really hard for those fans in Oklahoma City is the sense that this was the team that they grew up with. They got this team, and Kevin Durant was there. And then they add the pieces. They add the Harden. They add the Westbrook, those guys. It's changed a little bit throughout there, but what you've basically had in Oklahoma City was Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and that's how they know the NBA and that franchise. And now the number one piece of that, a key member of the city, certainly the key member of that team, is gone. And that's going to be hard for them. And I think for Russell Westbrook, a couple interesting things here. Number one, can you imagine the numbers that he could put up next year without Kevin Durant there when it is truly his team? It could be like the Kobe 50-point game to end his career. He could put up those types of shots routinely because that's what they're going to ask him to do. I think it's entirely possible Russell Westbrook is the NBA MVP next year with an absurd stat line. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, or something like that for the season. I think that is entirely within the realm of possibility for Russell Westbrook in OKC, if he's in OKC, because that's the other part of this now. If you're Sam Presti, who, by the way, I think is a very, very good GM, very smart basketball guy, but now he's the guy who traded away James Harden and lost Kevin Durant. And I think is going to have a big decision to make over the next several months about what do you do with Russell Westbrook. Because Westbrook becomes an unrestricted free agent next summer. And a lot of people thought if one of the two guys was going to leave, he was the more likely guy to leave. Might like to get back to L.A., closer to home, things like that. Now that Durant is gone, I think you increase the chances that Westbrook leaves exponentially. So if that's the case, if you're Sam Presti, you just lost Kevin Durant for nothing. Can you afford to possibly go through the same thing next summer and lose the other foundational piece of your franchise? That is a huge risk to take. And while it may be very difficult to stomach this thought for him and everybody in Oklahoma City right now, I think you have to at least explore the option of what you can get for Westbrook today. because if you lose him next summer without getting anything for him, just like you lost Durant, I don't know how you live through that if you're Sam Presti. That's going to be a very difficult pill to swallow for him and all the fans in Oklahoma City. Back to the phones we go, and Bryant, good evening. You're next up here on SportsLine.
All righty.
Yeah, go ahead, Bryant.
Hey, Steve.
Yep.
All right, how you doing, Steve?
Doing well.
I thought I was going to miss you, man. I just got in, but just want to say one thing about Kevin Durant. I'm on his side, you know. He's just like LeBron James, you know. He's been with the team for so long, and ain't nothing been happening. Now he decided he wants to find out about what's it like to be a champion. So I'm hoping that if he do succeed, that, you know, he might go back to OKC.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I know some people have tossed that around. But, Bryant, let me ask you this. If he does win that title, and I think you're right, I think the chances are better for him to do that with this Golden State team than what he could have done or kept trying to do in Oklahoma City. Will you view it any differently? If he gets the title in Golden State, where he had to join forces with what essentially already is a championship team, they won the title 2 years ago, will you feel differently about that title and about Kevin Durant if that's the way he wins the title compared to if he grinded it out and won one in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, but I just think he can go right back, and what he just accomplished, when, you know, if he ever does win it, what he can accomplish, he can take that back to OKC, just like how LeBron did what he had to do. He had to feel, find out what it's like to win a championship and where the mistakes and stuff were made at.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Brian. And look, I think there's some people out there that hope that is what happens with Kevin Durant, is that maybe he would go back and return there. But it's just different because it isn't home for him. That's not where he grew up. So is he likely to go back to Oklahoma City? I don't know. And then if Westbrook's gone, what kind of a team can they put around him? You know, that's a very, very interesting thing as well. I think Kevin Durant is a really good guy. He's obviously a great basketball player. So I wish him the best in Golden State, in Oakland. I think they will probably win an NBA title or two with that team the way it's currently constituted. It's amazing to think. LeBron goes back, he wins the title in Cleveland. It's an amazing story. And now he's going to be an afterthought going into next year. He's going to be an underdog. Yeah, sure, they're going to win the East, but who's going to pick the Cavs to beat the Warriors with that lineup now? I don't think many people are. So that's an amazing thing to think about in its own right about LeBron, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this story is written for Kevin Durant now that it goes on. And if you're the Warriors, look, that's a lot of good talent there. But there's only one basketball. Steph Curry's used to shooting when he wants and what he wants. So is Kevin Durant. And he likes to dominate the basketball at times. It's going to be an interesting experiment for Steve Kerr next year to figure out how he's going to play all these guys. He had a well-oiled machine this season in terms of how they played basketball offensively, how they shared with each other, the movement they had. And obviously he's got some good shooters there. Now you put in a guy who likes to dominate the basketball. He likes to post up and get it and work one-on-one. That's not necessarily the way the Warriors play. Steph Curry's crazy talented and can do a bunch of great one-on-one things. Klay Thompson's similar to that. But they move a lot. They set screens. They get those guys open. Kevin Durant has never played like that. Certainly not in the NBA. So how does he fit in exactly? I think that's a nice problem for Steve Kerr to have. I think he'll take it. But how does that fit in? And does Durant's personality and need for the ball overcome the Warriors' team game offensively? Or can he assimilate? And then just simply from an ego standpoint, you're talking about a guy in Steph Curry who's won back-to-back MVPs. I'm not sure he's a better player than Kevin Durant is. I think Durant's a more well-rounded scorer. Curry's the best shooter we've ever seen. That's for sure. But Kevin Durant's bigger. He can get to the basket easier. He can score from just about every place on the court. How does that play itself out? If Durant's scoring 30 a game and Steph Curry drops back to 22 or 20 next year, does that work for Steph? Or vice versa? Because it's Steph Curry's team right now. If he continues on his torrid pace and Durant all of a sudden isn't scoring at quite the level he's been accustomed to throughout his NBA career, how does he take that next season? And what about Klay Thompson? He's a pretty darn good player in his own right. Or Draymond Green. This is going to be a great team. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But it's also going to be interesting to see how they marry this whole thing together next season. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get into a little Major League Baseball all-star rosters. Go down the American and National League teams and talk about a couple local guys who will head out to San Diego for the Midsummer Classic. Stay tuned. You're watching SportsLine right here on News Channel 5+.